All right, so LeBron's right-hand man, Rich Paul, sat down with Max Kellerman, aka Mad Max, and they touched on quite a few things. LeBron's possible retirement, how different organizations are not really created equal, and of course, with this whole Clutch Sports aura all over this segment right here, they had to push their propaganda. The incident with LeBron James laughing it up with a couple of Phoenix Suns players during a blowout game where JJ Redick clearly looked upset, they addressed this right here. And my man Rich Paul was putting in work, as low-key he called out the Lakers organization also, the lack of roster moves, as well as Rob Pelinka's decision-making. Again, Rich Paul collaborating with Max Kellerman is no mistake right here. This is perfectly crafted for Clutch Sports to somewhat put out their own narrative on what's going on with LeBron, as he will make his exit outside of LA. It amazes me how Adam Silver throughout this whole Clutch Sports saga has approached him with kid gloves, because Rich Paul right here makes numerous statements about current players potentially being traded and playing for other teams. I thought he was an active agent, but hey, it is what it is. That is LeBron James' true GOATness right there. The fact that he's positioned his friends as they are powerful figures within the league. So they kicked off the conversation with a little bit of double talk, as they touched on Patrick Mahomes and his dealings with the Chiefs franchise, when in reality, Rich Paul, when he's talking, he's really making cross-reference to LeBron James' interaction with the Los Angeles Lakers. But you guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
I'm watching the Chiefs, and I didn't expect them to win. For the first time in the Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid era, that was a must-win game, or so it seems, that I expected them to lose because of the Texans' defense, right? That has not happened. This whole era with the Chiefs, that hasn't happened. That's the first time last night.
Yeah, it was pretty sad, honestly. I felt the same way. But I think as long as you have Mahomes, you obviously always have a chance. But I think it may be time to take Mahomes out the deck and then shuffle it.
Rich Paul putting in work early. You could make the argument that LeBron James has been making the same exact case with the Lakers for the past few seasons, especially after the whole Russell Westbrook fiasco. But Rob Pelinka and the Lakers organization have been very hesitant about blowing up their whole future for LeBron James. And right now with the Lakers internally, they're going through a lot of organizational shifts. Jeannie Buss just recently fired some of her siblings who were scouts. And the franchise is pivoting away from the old mom and pop kind of Buss family dynamic that it's been ever since their father purchased the team.
You mean shuffle the team?
Yeah.
Kelsey and I want to say the Chiefs were at 500 and the Broncos were like 8-2. And I thought, here's a typical Chiefs game at this point in the season. The Chiefs look up and down, and but they're not going to fall below 500 or 500 against a team like the Broncos that doesn't really need the win. Like, that's the kind of point in the season where they start rolling. And when the Broncos won that game, I was like, oh, wait, this is a little different.
Just like it felt a little different with the Lakers last season, finishing with a 47-35 record and basically getting a gentleman's sweep from Anthony Edwards in the playoffs, even though they have a prime Luka on the team. Shit felt a little different. Even LeBron James this season, the way he's doesn't necessarily have the same energy. Again, there's a lot of parallels with their conversation about the Chiefs. This is not a mistake of why they started it off this way.
This, like, it felt a little different. And last night, because of what the Bills had done against the Bengals earlier in the day, it was like, this is the closest to the edge that the Chiefs have come. The only question for me is this like actually the end, or because they have, some small percent chance to still make the playoffs? Is it like what who was it? Chappelle said about white people party to the edge of death. Remember this one? He's like, where's the edge? Like that the Chiefs do this every year, and they get right up to the edge, and every year a little closer to the edge to make you think they can't do it. And since they're mathematically still alive, it's actually not over, right? Or is this over?
No, I think it's over. And I think in addition to the Texans defense, we're missing a big point. the way they lost the Super Bowl was deflating.
Yeah.
And I think
That punctured the mystique?
yeah, that was very, very, very like deflating for a Chiefs team that's been so dominant for so long. How they lost that, then you come back. This season has been very
They
bland.
looked like they had it.
Damn, it sounds like he's describing the Lakers coming off that series with the Timberwolves. I mean, you got prime Luka, and the way they got the asses handed to them with that gentleman's sweep. Anthony Edwards at the end of the game talking all that shit. Yeah, it's hitting a little different. And so far this season, the Lakers have looked like they gotten the ball rolling without LeBron James.
Going before the Broncos game a little bit. They had a couple wins. They blew out a couple bad teams, and it looked like, okay, here they come.
Well, anytime you have Mahomes, you're going to look good on a Sunday. But we're talking about, here's the other thing too. Who fears the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Normally teams go in and it's kind of like, we got to play the Chiefs this Sunday. Damn.
He's got decent protection on the O-line. Like, it's like... the receivers are dropping a lot of balls. And maybe it's this simple. Maybe it's his favorite target got old, is clearly not the same. So you don't have a Tyreek Hill, but the guy who was moving the chains was always Kelsey.
Yeah.
And now you don't really have that reliably anymore. And now whatever it is, well, let's put it this way. I'm not convinced it's over for them still. I need to see them dead and buried before I actually write them off. But
now, Max Kellerman feels the same way about the Lakers. He does not believe that they're dead in the water, even though they do have a couple holes in their roster, and LeBron's eating up about $50 million of their salary.
But that was a bad one last night.
What makes you say that? It's because of the greats.
Yeah.
It's because, say what you want, Travis had 2 drops last night. That's
Critical points in the game, too.
That's not his normal play. But in a playoff game, if they get there, it's still very hard to bet against somebody that you've seen do it before.
Right.
That's where I think you're going to always have like this.
All right, so if this were the NBA and the Chiefs were in the situation they're in, right, it just looks like their supporting cast can't get it done anymore. Not that Mahomes has looked great either, by the way, but like, let's say it was the NBA. You have this singular star like
he's earned
Mahomes,
the right to not
right?
look great.
What happens in this offseason?
Once again, you fellas seeing the parallels they're trying to make with the Chiefs? It's not fucking ironic they started out the conversation this way.
What happens?
Yeah, if this was the NBA, what happens to the Chiefs in the offseason?
I don't think it's because they've been so successful. I don't think Mahomes is at the point where he's like, get me out of here type of. They've been so successful the last 7 years. I think what happens in this offseason is exactly what I said. They have to shuffle the deck outside of Mahomes. Andy Reid's still there. Ownership group is still intact. So I think prior to Mahomes saying he wants to go anywhere, if he ever says that, I think you really sit down at the end of the year and you say, okay, this course has ran its course.
But that's obviously not going to happen. Right?
It could happen. Yeah.
You think it'll happen in the NFL?
Of course.
There's a big difference.
No, what I'm saying is this particular team in itself, the way it's structured.
Yeah, you're going to have to bring in new
right.
pieces.
So what does that actually look like? And Mahomes is probably saying, because if you look at that team, I think people underestimate the professionalism it takes to be a really good player and a really good team. And when I see the Chiefs, I'm not in the locker room, but I can almost make the assumption that Mahomes probably sees a little inconsistency in discipline and habits than what he probably saw before.
What gives you that impression? His body language on the field?
Now, Rich, are you describing LeBron James and the way he's looking at the Lakers locker room, let's say in the past 3 seasons?
Not just his body language, like some of the things that's taken place with some of the other players.
But it's tough because, like, as I said, the guy who really has seemed to fall off is Kelsey.
Yeah, but
he's hitting him in the hands,
yeah,
Rich.
But you can't focus
on third down and stuff, and he's just dropping
But you can't focus on Listen, the man was going to retire last year.
Right.
So he came back. The focus can't, that's one guy. The focus can't be only on Kelsey. Several guys drop passes.
Yeah.
At least if someone's going to drop a pass, he gets a pass to drop a pass. He's caught so many
But that's what I'm saying. When your safety valve, when the guy who bails
right,
you out,
but this is why the reshuffle. Where's the next Kelsey? Like you have to really start to figure those things out.
Uh-oh, Rob Pelinka. Rich Paul is telling you, where's the next Alex Caruso? Where's the next KCP? How have you been reshuffling the deck? Your reluctance to use that first overall pick from a couple seasons ago that LeBron wanted to attach with Russell Westbrook to send them away.
If you Mahomes, if you want to stay in Kansas City, which I think he would, he's got so much equity there. He has ownership in the baseball team. He got the steakhouse, so on and so forth. And as a quarterback, unlike the NFL, although I think some quarterbacks should move, the only way you really want to move is if your team has not shown the capabilities to replenish.
To make adjustments.
Yeah. Then
the front
then
office.
But that hasn't been the case.
And also you have a great coach. You have one of the greatest coaches ever.
That hasn't been the case. Now, if they bring a new coach in, things change, whatever, then that's a different situation. But I think we are a few steps removed from him saying, if he ever said, I want to change the scenery.
It's so interesting to me, though, that Tyreek leaves, and it looks like receiver by committee, and he's spreading it around, and maybe this is better for the team, and that's okay, right? But it's Kelsey's decline that makes it look horrible. Well, it's like, okay, you could plot the Chiefs' demise, right, and say, when Kelsey started to not be good, the Chiefs looked horrible.
Yeah, but so has Tyreek.
What's that?
Without Mahomes.
No, I'm saying, but like in terms of what made the Chiefs work, it seemed like Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes could withstand the loss of Tyreek Hill, and Andy Reid can game plan with the other receivers, and Mahomes can spread it around. They could still get to the Super Bowl. But it's the decline of Travis Kelce that makes none of this work, and that's you got to go find out another Travis Kelce. That's hard.
Well, that position has always been that position to me in the NFL is that tight end position. It's like having a great four-man in the NBA, but that can do it all.
Right.
If he needs to rebound, if he needs to pick and pop, can make the right reads. Because when you think about the great tight ends, I mean, they made big plays in big games all the time. From a Tyreek's perspective, individually, he is a great receiver, a talent off the chain, but he hasn't had the success, the team success, obviously. Mm-hmm. And in those situations, the grass it's not always greener. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, Kelsey is not the same player he once was, but the man was going to retire, so that's fine. And he's done a hell of a job. But you unplug into Tyreek, and what are you really replacing it with?
AKA Rob Pelinka, my man Rich Paul is talking to you.
So it's been a lot.
So in this case, you think because the reason I asked about if it was the NBA is it feels like when a superstar player in the NBA, when the franchise stops functioning the way it normally does, they might want to get out of there, right? In the NFL, it doesn't really happen like that. If the guys,
well, I think that's the new NBA.
Rich Paul is right. When he says the new NBA, he's referring to the fact that the owners with the new CBA have basically eliminated player movement. With that second apron almost serving as a hard cap, teams are not going to necessarily be anxious to trade for a superstar. We're seeing that play out this season with Ja Morant and LaMelo Ball. And even to a degree, let's say a team like the Sacramento Kings, if they don't want to deal with Zach LaVine, it's going to be hard to move his contract.
I think that's the new NBA.
Right. Sure.
Because the old superstar player did, I think.
So what's the difference? Why does that work? Why does it work that way?
The NFL player is not empowered the way that the NBA player, or so they don't think they are. Mm-hmm. And the old tradition is it has to stay this way. And a lot of the NBA players got flack for this, starting with the obvious, got flack. But
who's the obvious?
You have to understand.
LeBron James for player movement. Come on, Max. You already know that.
And you have to want to be willing to take on that responsibility and that accountability. I don't want to be here. Especially if there's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's so hard to win a championship. Nothing's going to guarantee you a championship. But if I can't even see the idea of competing at a high level consistently anymore, then you have to move. But the NFL player is not there yet.
The other thing we don't think about coaches this way, but there's like a outer limit in terms of the ages of head coaches where they just get so much older than, like, let's say the rookie, right? You get to a certain age and the head coach is like 50 years older than the rookies coming in. And they can't really relate to them any, there's such a gap. It's like 2 generations removed and they can't relate to them anymore. Now, I'm not saying Andy Reid is there because you're entitled to not make the AFC Championship game a year in your career like that. But you do wonder if you're Mahomes or if you're the Chiefs and you're taking a very sober look at the team. Your point is basically like he's in a place that has been able to replenish through the draft. You take a defensive end at the end of the first round, but he turns out to be really good, and they seem to be able to mix and match and plug and play and keep it going. And the main thing in the NFL is you have the quarterback and the coach, and obviously you have that at the highest level. But how long can Andy Reid keep going like this, right? And if you're Mahomes or if you're the Chiefs, does that have to cross your mind at a certain point? Like, we have to start thinking about the next guy to put with Mahomes.
Absolutely, yeah. But look, I think Mahomes is in a situation where he has to look at it. It's not only is he the quarterback of the Chiefs, does he see himself as a partner? I don't know his relationship with the ownership group.
Now, Rich Paul right there brings up a great dynamic that's going on with a lot of these superstar players of today in the various sports, because earning over $300 million and just signing 10-year deals or just any kind of long-term contract with these franchises is now a partnership in full. LeBron James has been doing it for the past decade or so. Any franchise that he goes to, it is definitely a partnership because he does increase the net worth of that overall brand. Luka Doncic today with the Lakers, that is a partnership. There is an understanding when Luka signed that extension of how things are going to work out going forward. Hopefully for Luka's sake, the Lakers do have a plan to put him in position to compete in his prime, as that trade did signify to Luka that he's going to waste a couple of seasons rebuilding himself to try to get back to the NBA Finals.
But if he sees himself as a partner, he does not have the pressure to win. He's won. Normally a superstar in that position, they have a pressure to get over the hump. So that's kind of pushing them out the door or wanting change as well. So he actually has a lot going for him to be patient in this situation. But yeah, I think you have to have that conversation. And I like Andy Reid. I think he's always been, even though he's older, been around, he's probably coached more years than I've been alive.
We got to wonder if LeBron winning in the bubble for the Lakers, did that take the pressure off of him bringing some sort of championship success in his venture while being out there? That championship kind of went under the radar as there were restrictions due to the pandemic. So no parade, no celebration. That championship victory was not overtly in any of our faces. So it's almost as if it went unnoticed in a way.
But I think he is relatable to guys. I think he's on the pulse a little bit, where most guys his age probably
like
wouldn't
Belichick
be.
Reached a point where it's too much.
Yeah, and guys come in. Not only do they come in at a young age, but they also come in very inexperienced in life. That really messes with the locker room.
Yeah.
Right? Because less coachable, less open-minded, less willing to really listen and things like that.
Damn, Rich, are you talking about some of the Laker players in the locker room in the past few seasons? Outside of LeBron James being 40 years old and Anthony Davis being in his early 30s, there was a major drop-off in some of the ages of their role players. Shit, even Luka to a degree, being only, I believe, age 26 this season. So Rich Paul right here, once again, the double speak in the very early stages of this conversation, they're really revealing a lot of the parallels that was going on behind the scenes with the Lakers.
See the guy. It's a me thing a lot of times, and football has always been a we type of a game. So I think dealing with all that, and I imagine Mahomes deals with all that as well, not just Mahomes, but a lot of the veterans in these NFL locker rooms or in any locker room. But I still think there's a few steps where Mahomes sits down and say, okay, let's look at this holistically. Coach, team, both sides of the ball, Cap, what's our,
Yeah.
Financial flexibility, if we have any. How are we approaching the draft? What are some of the holes we need to be filled? Because it's hard, man. It's hard depending on others in anything.
Okay, so now they're going to shift this conversation 100% about the Lakers and LeBron. Max Kellerman, being the storyteller that he is the perfect person for this segment. And they're going to address a lot of the current day situations that we see going on with the Lakers, especially with LeBron laughing it up with a couple of Phoenix Suns players after a blowout.
All right, so we were talking about the similarities between Mahomes and the position he's in now with his crime partner, right, Travis Kelce, and any similarities between that and the situation LeBron was in as Dwayne Wade was in decline, right, in Miami, where the thing that you had been doing that was working ain't going to work anymore. In the NBA, it's much easier, especially since LeBron's come on the scene, for guys to be like, okay, I'm out, right? NFL, not so easy.
Let me see. The last year they made it to the finals, LeBron and D Wade and the Heat, they lost to the Spurs. I'm not sure Kansas City gets back, but I know what you're saying.
Well, that's like last year.
Yeah,
they got
like
back last year. And
exactly.
By the way, going into that game, I could not believe people thought the Kansas City Chiefs were going to win that game.
No,
the Eagles had been beating the hell out of everybody.
But not like that. But to answer your question, I would say, when in 14, I think everything had run its course, right? And I think that D Wade and LeBron had a relationship that was close enough to where they can have an honest conversation with each other.
D Wade has been on record stating that they didn't speak about LeBron leaving Miami until D Wade played on the Cavaliers.
Presumably so do Mahomes and Kelce.
Yeah. And I was going to say, Mahomes and Kelce definitely does. They're business partners, and they've been there the whole time with each other. It's very similar. The difference is, I think that LeBron had an ideal spot because he came from there.
And because he saw Kyrie Irving.
That too.
Yeah.
That's a reason. But also, that team drafted him.
Right.
In this case, Mahomes has only ever played for the Chiefs, and so has Travis Kelce. But in Mahomes' case, it's like he doesn't really have a home away from Mahomes or Holmes, if that makes sense.
When I see a guy like Kelce drop a pass like last night, for example, the one that hit him in both hands.
Max,
but here's the thing.
Listen,
I understand a guy losing his reflexes, losing this, losing that.
Do you know where Kelce's from?
Kelce, you don't forget how to catch.
Do you know where Travis Kelce is from?
What about it?
He's from Cleveland.
I understand. This goes across sports. That when a team or a player feels like they deserve it, they don't make as many mistakes. It's when they feel like they don't deserve it that kind of stuff comes out.
You know where I want to see Mahomes?
Where? You don't
Dallas.
like my theory?
Damn. Once again, a lot of parallels in their conversation, because Rich Paul mentioning Dallas is no mistake. There were already plenty of rumors stating that LeBron James might make a shift to the Mavericks. And also, going back to the earlier part of their conversation, Rich Paul mentions the importance of having a great power forward on the team who could make shots, make great decisions, and play defense.
You want to see Mahomes and Dallas? You want Mahomes to switch teams?
I want to. If he is to switch teams, first of all, this is the agent coming out of me now.
Okay, good. You want $1 billion brand?
Oh my! What?
If he could, like, he has not looked very good recently.
Who?
Mahomes. He hasn't. He doesn't look like, it's hard to say. I know because his tight end's dropping passes. He doesn't have like a Tyreek Hill on the team. Even Rice at times
if
has
Mahomes was to lead the Chiefs
passes, but yeah,
I would want to see him in Dallas.
Sure. That's, by the way, you're getting the hang of this media stuff like that. That's,
There goes that double talk again. Don't be shocked if you see LeBron James end up with the Mavs.
And I
we'd
think
lead if we were on ESPN, they'd lead every show with that.
And I think he would be incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think...
Oh, you think they have some receivers?
And they're improving their defense. And I think...
And the Mavs do have some pieces, even through all that turmoil. Max Christie, Kyrie Irving. Shit, they even had Quentin Grimes, who's killing out there in Philly, and they basically traded him away for nothing. The Mavericks, at the end of the day, they had a great roster of players that was supposed to be around Luka. So who knows if LeBron James go out there as a free agent and with a little bit of luck when it comes to health, never know.
If they were to do that, I would call Jerry and tell him buy another helicopter, Jerry.
Do you know that if we
you
were
would
doing,
have needed to go,
if
to,
we
go
were
to the
doing a
bank.
show, like if we were doing an ESPN show, when we were doing the whiteboard in the beginning, if you come up with that, that leads the show. Patrick Mahomes should go to the Dallas Cowboys, leads the show.
Well, it's going to end this show. Patrick Mahomes, if, I'm not telling you to leave, Patrick, or the Hunt family, I'm not telling you to leave. But if for some reason there's a change in Kansas City, those Mahomes jerseys in Dallas.
Do you know how
yeah.
fast this happens? I want you to consider this.
Oh, yeah.
When people talk about like the hot take culture in sports, you were accusing me earlier of playing. You don't play fantasy basketball. You don't play.
You rubbed off.
It takes one show where there's no pressure to have a hot take for you to come up with a scorching hot take by the end of the show playing fantasy football. This is your first show,
Max. I mean, what you want me to say? I just thought about
I love it. Yeah,
I literally just was sitting here.
Yeah.
I'm like,
no, you're not wrong.
Because I was going to ask you, where should Mahomes go?
Kansas City. He should stay put. You got Andy
fair.
Reid. You got everything you need there.
Because they are a championship organization.
Correct.
But all I'm saying,
it's irresistible.
If he was to leave Kansas City,
the number one football,
I would want to see him in Dallas,
marquee,
Texas,
marquee franchise.
And I'm a Browns fan, by the way. I'm a Browns fan.
In American sports history, the most glamour positions. Once upon a time, was center fielder for the New York Yankees.
I know who else would want to see him in Dallas.
Point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers. Quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys is the number one glamour position in American sports.
And you know who else would love for him to be in Dallas?
Who's that?
Adidas.
You
know who else? Oakley.
Goodell. No, Jerry Jones would like it.
RG would like it. Jerry would definitely. Jerry.
The problem is if he went to Dallas, that would mean he's really at the end. Right? Like, oh, he doesn't look the same.
No,
and then,
we're playing fantasy.
Just the way it is.
No. I'm talking about now. He's nowhere near the end.
You would think not, but if he went to a place like Dallas or the Jets or someplace, it would be
How old is
over.
Mahomes?
Mahomes is 30 years old. Once again, there's a lot of parallels in their conversation with LeBron. If LeBron went to Dallas, it definitely would be the end.
32?
Not even.
Oh.
He came into the league. He's 22, and then he didn't start his first year, so he's got to be 30.
How old is Aaron Rodgers?
100. So you got 80 years ahead, or 70 years ahead of him. Do you make decisions like, okay, so Clutch represents Jalen Hurts. Do you make decisions about clients or give advice about clients and where they go based on that kind of thing, based on the organizations that keep the Andy Reids around?
Less in the NFL because it's, than the NBA. But once you get to free agency, yes, because there's a big...
Hold on, what does this mean in the NFL? You say less because it's what?
Well, the NFL it's a 53-man roster. It's just a different business, right? The draft, it's the draft. You have 11 people on the field. You have to decide what's actually needed in what position, et cetera.
There's more going on.
Yeah, it's just a different dynamic. And they play less years, the risk, just so many different things. In the NBA, obviously it's 5 guys. They play both sides of the ball. So you have a little bit more of a pulse, But what I would say is the organization, there's such a difference between championship organizations and an organization that has won championships.
All right, hold on, because I know here comes the Lakers.
Yeah. I'm not thinking about the Lakers. I'm saying just in general, but if you want to include the Lakers.
Yeah, let's talk about the Lakers.
But I'm just saying, we talk about Andy Reid as a winner. You want that guy in your locker room.
Because I've heard you say that about the Lakers. There's a difference between a championship organization.
Well, I would say that about a lot of teams. Just because you won a championship or several championships, that doesn't necessarily make you a championship organization. Championship organizations, put it this way, the Oklahoma City Thunder, prior to winning a championship, if you would have asked me, is this a championship organization? And I would say, yes. The only problem they have is they haven't won yet. But
Sam Presti and
well, just everything, the culture, you have to have depth in the front office. You have to have, You have
What
to
do you mean depth in the front office?
meaning the front office is layered, right? Because you have scouting, you have advanced scouting, you have your international aspect of it, you have your pro scouting, you have your college scouting, and you're looking at it from a place of how are we building this team, right? You're managing assets, you're stockpiling draft capital and things of that nature, and you look up and it's like boom. But while doing that, you're establishing a culture, meaning it don't matter what name comes in here, you are going to do things the way
Miami
we do them.
Heat.
The Miami Heat was another one. San Antonio is another one.
The Heat and San Antonio is a great comparison. The Lakers should have the same structure, but ever since Dr. Bus had passed away and Jeannie alongside her brothers took over, that franchise has been in flux behind the scenes. Not only the siblings were fighting for power ever since, with many lawsuits while the Lakers were in the bubble winning the championship, but they had to go through a rough patch, a rough transition with the father's ambitions, wanting the son to kind of be the GM, then it not working out with him. Also, Jeannie Buss, after Kobe retired, the Lakers spent a long period striking out with free agents. They didn't get Kawhi, Paul George re-signed with OKC, LaMarcus Aldridge chose the San Antonio Spurs. Shit, even Klay Thompson, instead of going to the Lakers, he chose the Dallas Mavericks. So even though we all know the Lakers brand as far as winning championships and being successful, ever since Dr. Buss passed away and Kobe had left the team with retirement, the organization has been in flux. I can only imagine the culture.
I think the Lakers can trend towards that way now.
Because they got the ownership?
Well, the new ownership can help in different ways. But prior to that, there was never a conversation of we're going to help you understand how to win a championship because this is a championship organization.
Ooh, see, LaMarcus Aldridge had mentioned the same thing in his free agency. The meeting with the Lakers was all about branding and sponsorships and a lot of Showtime shit, but nothing was about winning basketball. That's why he went with the San Antonio Spurs.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the Lakers probably didn't give themselves enough credit of being a organization that's won all those championships to say, hey, yeah, I know we're the purple and gold, we're in LA, but we're going to establish certain things despite what your name is. Yeah, and it's good to be able to roll out the red carpet and things like that, but once you get up underneath that, there's just some things foundational that is never going to change.
Facts. And that is something that Rich Paul as well as Maverick Carter experienced when they were down there in South Beach dealing with Pat Riley. Udonis Haslem has been on record stating that he has told LeBron James's friends that they are not allowed in the locker room. There was a certain culture, a certain code that was enforced down there.
That makes it sound like, because obviously LeBron gets, like, the Lakers seem to present this kind of inviting culture to attract superstars, right? Look at the way we treated Kobe Bryant at the end. We paid him when he wasn't even good anymore, and we took care of our own. Hey, LeBron, you might like to play here. But you as LeBron's agent and Clutch Sports as his agent, you're saying, really, that's the way I hear that, you correct me if I'm wrong, is and I don't mean to interview you on this, but I mean, but you're saying they are catering too much to people like my client instead of insisting on doing things a certain way?
I'm saying when you are a team like the Lakers and others, I think there's several teams in the league. Sometimes when you are that attraction, right? You're in LA, you're the purple and gold, the history, the legacy, all of that. There's a couple ways you can lean, but the details within the organization is what's to be invested in to create these foundational roots that no matter what.
You mean depth in the front office and this kind of stuff?
Yes, the scouting. Jeannie Buss just recently let go some of her siblings from that position. The mom and pop approach ever since the father passed away, it has hit a wall. And now with new ownership taking over, Jeannie Buss is slowly opening up the organization to allow new people to come in to breed much needed innovation. Look at the net worth of the Golden State Warriors in the past 10 years. We can see why that organization is worth so much outside of Stephen Curry. They have an infrastructure that they built that can justify that price point. The Lakers' current day, with the new ownership buying the team, they pretty much just bought a logo and all its history.
They mentioned.
Not even just that. I think a number of things. You got, whether it's front office depth, whether it's development, right? Which young players, which they've done a great job at developing young players. Austin's developed, Kuz was another one, Caruso was another one. But I'm saying holistically, right? Sometimes when you're the prettiest girl in the room, you don't necessarily do the detailed things. Like you could just put your hair in a ponytail, put a white beater on, some jeans,
curse
and
of the
heels
gifted.
and go out, right?
Yeah, curse of the
But when
gifted.
you're
If it's easier for you, you don't work as hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're not the prettiest girl in the room, you have to do all the little details.
And with the Lakers being the prettiest girl in the room when it comes to getting NBA free agents, what they haven't realized is that the money side of the business, it has changed. They're not the only franchise that has deep pockets or could give players the access of a large market. With the way things are nowadays, even a superstar like SGA can provide that Hollywood appeal even though he plays for the Oklahoma City Thunder. There's social media and other entities that allows players to be marketed on a global level. NBA players no longer need Hollywood to have that mass appeal. Again, there's so many fucking layers to this. Hollywood no longer having the monopoly to create global stars is even affecting the Lakers.
OKC, they're going to do, because, no offense, but where would you rather live?
LA.
Exactly. So I just think that.
But wait, hold on. Back up. Tell me, I want to focus on this for 1 second. So when you say culture, you have to establish a culture, championship team.
I'm saying
right?
There's a difference between
Miami, San Antonio. I'm thinking of LeBron, right? Let's say what it is. I'm thinking of LeBron in Miami. He had to do things a certain way because Pat Riley is not playing games, right? Once he leaves Miami, he goes to Cleveland, and he had great success in Cleveland, but he could do it more his way. It sounds to me like you're saying the Lakers need to be more like Miami and less like Cleveland.
No.
It sounds to me like you're saying, hey, we're not so grateful to have you. You should be happy to be here too, and we're going to use that leverage to fit you into our culture rather than just to cater to you.
Some of that, yes. But just to go back a little bit, LeBron was always a pro.
Right.
So regardless what Miami was, they never had to act. There was never a thing of body fat, being out of shape, none of that, none of those things.
You don't have to worry about that with LeBron.
That was never being on time, nothing. So I don't want to misconstrue that, because sometimes that get misconstrued like, oh, he got here and whatever. But going back to mindset.
I'm listening for that but.
Pat Riley's mindset.
Yes.
Pat Riley had a championship mindset. So the foundation, right? It don't matter how upset you may be. It don't matter. We're doing this thing this way.
But that's so interesting to me, Rich, because what's underneath that is, this is the way I'm hearing what you're saying, is you're LA. Everyone wants to be in LA. You're the Lakers. You have all these championships. You don't have to kowtow to LeBron or whatever superstar to do. I'm not talking about professional. I don't mean baseline professionalism. Show up on time, work hard, don't get fat. Everyone knows LeBron's going to be all over that.
I don't think you have to kowtow to Luka
or anybody, right?
Nobody. No, you're the Lakers.
But the reason I'm saying LeBron is because you, as his rep, that makes your life easier in a way. If they give in to LeBron because that gives you more leverage.
No. That's a massive reps. Anybody, Luka, LeBron, Kobe, whomever, there's a world where, yes, of course, stars are going to get preferential treatment. That's one thing. That has nothing to do with the foundation of you as an organization.
So stay right there.
No matter what, these things are what they are.
Okay, wait, so stay right there.
Don't change.
As his agent, if you are dealing with a team, let's say the difference between dealing with Miami and Cleveland, are you saying that—
I don't sugarcoat things as an agent.
No, what I'm saying is, are you saying, is it harder to get what you want for your client from Miami and easier to get it from Cleveland? Or does what you're talking about not really affect that?
No, what do you think I want? some
Who knows?
cupcakes?
Because usually a superstar, you hear about the
want
certain
all-
treatment that they'll get.
No, I want what certain treatment? I want all the money he deserves.
Right, which
Any
he's going to
player.
get from any team anyway.
Any player. Right. Everything else, you think I get? No, I want a guy to be on time. I want a guy to be professional. I want a guy to be coachable. I want a guy to give an effort night in and night out.
And you
when
don't
he's
want
not,
different rules for your clients.
No, and when
because
he's-
some organizations will do that.
Yeah, the Lakers are all about stars. Of course, they're going to bend the rules for certain players. But at the end of the day, Rich Paul is really talking about like a top-down foundation, the same way the military has. Where the organizational logo, there's no one player that could supersede it. The same way either in the military, the army, or the navy, no one person could ever supersede the flag.
No, and when this is what I'm saying, and when he's not, I don't need the organization to tell him. I'm going to tell him myself.
Mhm.
I'll tell the organization, hey, that guy got beat back door. That should be the first thing you show in the film room.
The reason that I wanted,
That guy.
the reason I think that you work in media is because in dealing with you through the years, you've managed to thread this needle where you use honesty as the way you conduct business. So that sounds credible to me that you
No,
can
that's a
deal with the
fact.
organization just by telling them the truth and telling your clients the truth, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would say if there was room to grow, like for the Lakers, it would be in that department.
Right.
Yes, we are the Lakers, and let's establish this culture. We got 17 championships. Let's establish this culture of being a championship organization and having these pillars. That don't stop you from having great service and rolling out the red carpet here and there and doing certain things that's preferential. That's fine. Everyone's going to do that, by the way.
So-
you get treated how you treat other people. That
Sure.
goes no matter where you're at.
So, or you would hope at least, right? So that gets to the game the other night, right? It would be hard for me to imagine on a Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra team, you're getting blown out. Like I'm going back to the streak now of consecutive double-digit scoring games for LeBron, and the streak's on the line, and they're getting blown out.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix, right? Was it the Phoenix game? This is already 2 games ago.
Yeah, I
Against
think
Phoenix.
I didn't watch the game.
Okay.
I think it was, yeah.
And
I think I was at the
JJ
game.
Redick is visibly mad. Who, by the way, JJ's done an incredible job coaching this team because through injury to LeBron, to Luka, doesn't matter who it is, they
But
still
do you
win.
think they're contenders?
We'll get to that in a second. You mean because playoffs are different than the regular
Okay.
season.
And that right there, Mad Max, is where you should really be judging JJ Redick. The media has a very fond affinity for JJ. They're sort of prematurely anointing him as a great head coach. They got to be very careful with that. They did the same thing for Brad Stevens when there's really no proof of it. It was hard for him to manage the minutes, personality, ego of Kyrie, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Terry Rozier, and the politics of Brendan Haywood being one of the most highest paid players on the team coming off an injury and not necessarily being that same player. So that anointing of head coaches getting their stars early without even proving themselves first, we can't let that go unchecked.
LeBron is joking around with dudes on the Phoenix bench and on the court. And as a fan, before I even see JJ's reaction, I'm thinking, LeBron, what are you doing? That's a bad look. You're getting blown out. And then you're still in the game, even though you're getting blown out. And then you take a 3 to keep the streak alive in a blowout. Man, that's some bullshit, right? And JJ's pissed. You can see he's pissed. But then in the very next game, I think like that was the fact that JJ handled it this way, and maybe this bodes well for the Lakers and the culture you're talking about. He was clearly not happy with LeBron. And the very next game, with the streak still on the line, LeBron makes the right basketball play and passes it to Hachimura.
Yeah.
And Hachimura buries the shot and they win the game. And that seemed to be, and then LeBron balled out in his next game. And that
Yeah.
seemed to me, you could maybe identify, if this works out for the Lakers and that they at least make a little run in the playoffs, however it ends up, you could identify that moment where JJ is establishing a culture even to LeBron James, and where LeBron makes amends, because it felt to me watching the Phoenix game that he was making amends for the previous game. Not the Phoenix game, the next game where he's making amends and passing the ball and ending the streak by making the right play to Hachimura almost to make up for his behavior in the previous game.
Well, I don't know if it's to make up because I don't think he needs to make up, but I know what you're saying. It's two things. JJ was pissed, right? But this guy had been in the league for 23 years.
Yeah.
He knows if he did something that wasn't right, but those two things aren't the most important thing in that situation. The most important thing in that situation is to be LeBron and be open-minded to do what? Allow yourself to be reprimanded.
That's disciplined. Right. Good.
Yeah. And now, the next game, you make which he got criticized for making that same play to Korver, to Daniel Marshall, to Mo Williams or whoever else, right, for many years. Same play. We can go back and look at the tape.
Right. He didn't want to shoot it. Yeah.
Yeah, same play. I mean, I thought the streak was a little overrated anyway.
Then why is he taking a three at the end of a blowout if it's overrated?
Because the optics don't look right, especially for a player who's not really going to necessarily retire after this season. It's really kind of crazy when you really think about it, because that stat with LeBron's streak, it really ages him. It really put things into proper perspective that we're watching a legendary player who is currently relevant because he is a star of the league, but at the same time, my man has completely aged out of the NBA. We talking about a streak of scoring more than 10 points a game. He's been so great that when you see shit like that, it's basically the beginning of a fall off.
Why is he taking
it? It seems like he didn't think it was. This is what it felt like. Rich, from where I'm sitting, you're the right guy to ask about. From where I'm sitting, it felt to me like LeBron realized after that, oh shit, I fucked up. Like he keeps a streak alive. That's whatever, but it's like this very long streak by shooting a three in a blowout at the end of a game. It felt intentional. And the very next game, you're telling me that calculus doesn't occur to him? He's not doing the calculation in his mind like, I gotta kind of...
Well, listen, he could reprimand himself, of course.
Right.
Like I said, I wasn't watching that game. I didn't see that game. But yeah, whatever it looked like and felt like, obviously the media talked about it. They didn't talk about the right play, I tell you that. I didn't see the guys that was whatever. But yeah, I think, look, those guys at that level, you know when you did something that probably you
So is it coincidence that JJ does that? He makes the right play the next game, then he goes for what, 29 and whatever it was the other night?
Yeah.
In a win?
I don't know if it's coincidence, but me personally, and he'll tell you this, I always like when he chooses efficiency over entertainment.
Okay, explain.
Efficient, focused basketball, forget about it.
When did he choose? Well, first of all, before we even get to that,
2012.
let's back up for a second. Is JJ Redick, by disciplining him, could that be the germ that spreads and makes the Lakers a championship organization as opposed to an organization that's won championships?
Yes, but you have to build on all of those things. Build on it. You build.
How do you build? What's the next step?
As they come up.
Okay.
As they, like every little thing, right? You have to start building these, just like you build a house. You pour the foundation. If you pour that right,
but it's possible.
It's very possible, and it's also still possible to be that nice person, that welcoming person, that hey, let me make sure that you have the right everything person. Two things can be true, because I don't want
to... You can cater to the athlete a bit and also set a championship culture. Okay,
yeah.
So
Granny did it. When you went to grandma's house, you can't just run all over to jump on couches and all these different things.
But you feel loved.
You definitely feel loved, because guess what?
You want grandma's house.
If she knows what you wanted to eat and she may have cooked something else, she still made you what you wanted to eat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the grandparents spoil you a little bit.
How long the Lakers been around?
Long time.
Right. So you should be spoiled.
Okay, so now you're getting to, so in order for that to happen and for LeBron to make the most of his ability with Luka running the show now, you're saying efficient LeBron versus the entertainer LeBron?
No, what I'm saying is, yes, 75% efficient. You still need the showmanship.
Was he a showman in Miami?
Yeah, very much. Didn't you see him tackle the guy at halftime when he hit the half-court shot?
But wasn't that an example of what you're talking about? Like, that was LeBron worrying less about that stuff, and because he's in a Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra culture, having to do things the right way primarily. And then when he got, in other words, when LeBron went from Miami to Cleveland,
Same thing.
same
show.
thing, same efficient
yeah.
LeBron, not entertainer LeBron in Cleveland.
Well, he was a little bit more entertaining, but you also got it. But he went.
And he was a little bit more aware of his stats. Come on, Rich, let's not front about that. 2014 was the beginning stages of what I like to call the analytically efficiency era. The current day NBA players are very well aware of their stats. And the perfect proof to this that we could all see is that when you look at the end of the first quarter all the way through the third, there's a lot of players that no longer want to attempt the half-court shot. You can go back and look at the film of the players even at the end of the 2010s. If guys had an opportunity to score, they would take it. Fast forward post 2014, guys are way more stat conscious because that could work in their favor or against them come contract negotiations. For LeBron's case, I wouldn't doubt if he's more conscious of it because he understands that people will bring this up when they use it as one of their talking points and making him the overall GOAT.
Same efficient
yeah.
LeBron, not entertainer LeBron in Cleveland.
Well, he was a little bit more entertaining, but you also got it. But he went there with 2 championships, so
Right.
it was a different. But he's always listen. You don't build the business and the brand and all those things and be the face of the league still.
For 20 years,
for
yeah.
20 plus
Yeah.
years without being entertaining. Like there's a
But you're- but when- so when
responsibility
you
that comes
say-
with that.
But when you say efficient LeBron, you're saying
Yeah.
tilt more to that, to being what? Karl Malone plus?
I'm saying square up to the basket, hand in the cookie jar versus lean, hand in the popcorn, and I'm saying that. I've
You have
seen
to
him make
you're
both
older,
shots.
you need to be more
Right,
efficient.
But I'm saying
right.
I've seen him make both shots.
Yeah.
I just like the one where you come off, you shoulder square, hand in the cookie jar. I like that one more.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like if he would play, if he would be
you would
the
have 60,000
Luka's
points
pick and roll partner and not do too much, and
Well, that's not on him. I mean, sitting in the corner is not going to do much. But yeah, I think, in order, like I personally don't think the Lakers are good enough to be contenders right now. Not right now.
when you say contenders, what do you mean?
I don't think they have enough to get to the Western Conference final. I don't think they have enough to get to really contend from that perspective.
So
right now.
OKC isn't a
Damn, that's even with Luka, and you gotta wonder, Rich Paul being an agent, being a representation for certain clients, how is he able to go on a public platform and talk like this? There was even a point during the interview where he mentions one of his clients, Jalen Johnson of the Atlanta Hawks, that the Bucks should trade Giannis and try to get a player like him. Very interesting times for what Clutch Sports has been allowed to get away with in Adam Silver's NBA.
class by themselves.
Very much
They
so.
won 1,000,000 games last year. They won the title. They have one loss and 23-1 now? Can't
I
keep
stopped
up.
counting.
Right, like
Yeah.
so it's crazy.
They're good. They're really good.
And I always thought, even last year, it's like, wait, they're this good and they're going to get Chet Holmgren at a certain point? Like, that's a lot, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot. And here they are, they're rolling. Now they're confident because they just won the championship. They're maturing. They're getting better. So, okay, put them aside for a second. You think the Lakers don't fit in with the rest of the pack? They got the second best record in the conference.
Yeah, but we've seen that before. That doesn't mean anything. I think when you look, we've seen it, right? We've seen when you have the talent up top that they have, those guys can win games.
LeBron
Right.
and Luka.
But also Austin's
And
played
Austin
very well
Reeves,
this
yeah,
year. He's
absolutely.
taking a step. But then things start to really, when you come to back half of the season, where guys are really, now they have their conditioning,
They're scouting you
get in the
different. They're
rhythm,
preparing
scouting
for you
different.
more. Yeah.
It's one thing. Then when you go into the playoffs, we seen last year, they ran into athleticism and length. They struggled. So when you look at it now, athleticism, length, shooting, speed, right? Because now, can the Lakers play fast? I don't think so. And style of play. You can't, that style of play is going to be very easy to guard
But
when you
who do
get to
they
the
not
playoffs.
fit in with other than OKC?
Well, I mean,
Denver?
Denver's, no. They're not a better team than
Houston?
Denver. Athletes.
Yeah, Max, the Lakers are missing a lot of athleticism. The guys out there in the wings are just way too slow to guard anybody. That includes LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves. And it played out no further than the playoff series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards basically had his pick of the litter of who he was going to blow by.
I think they fit in with it. Look, ideally, Austin Reeves, and who knows what happens by the playoffs, is Ginobili, right? In an ideal world,
on a championship team,
he's the killer sixth man, right?
Yeah. But
That's
he's
not
paid,
this.
But he's paid as a starter.
He's paid. I get it.
Yeah.
So it makes it harder.
Yeah.
Right.
No, what I'm saying is, Ginobili was paid as a starter. He just
but in
was
this day and age, if you're paid the way he's about to get paid, it's harder to make you a sixth man.
Going back to the championship organization versus an organization with championships, the Spurs.
On the Spurs, he'd be the sixth man, right?
Right.
Especially back in the day.
The Spurs made that decision, and you know what Ginobili did? He embraced it.
Right.
And how many championships they win? 5.
Yeah.
It's those type of decisions to be made. Again, not getting enamored with all the other things. But I just don't. I think there's a couple things to be made, changes to be made in the short and the long. In the short, I'm putting LeBron as the screener because no offense to Ayton or Jackson Hayes, they're just not the decision maker coming out of the pick and roll.
It makes it hard. If you have Luka and LeBron in those roles,
what I'm saying.
Because
now,
LeBron is overqualified for that role.
But now all you need in that case, we've seen it, the guy in the dunker spot, and then the guy in the short corner. If they make shots, then you're very tough to beat. Now, some teams may just...
Come on, Rich. I can't let you get away with that. LeBron is not at the point in his career where he's going to be setting screens 24/7. And also, he's not willing to get down low. As big as he is, virtually bigger than everyone else that's out there on the court. As if he's 22 years old, knowing that he can't even blow by anybody. Just look up his layup and dunk attempts every single season.
Some teams may just switch it, but it depends on who's guarding. You have to have 2 really good defenders on your team in order to just switch a LeBron and Luka pick and roll.
So as currently constructed, you don't love the Lakers' chances?
No.
Is LeBron realistically a guy who could not be on the Lakers at the end of this year?
No.
He will be on the Lakers at the end of this year.
Yeah, where's he going to go?
Facts, there's no marketplace for him. With the way the new CBA is, a lot of these teams don't want to hit that second apron, and it's very difficult to move contracts like LeBron at $50 million, even though it's an expiring deal. Knowing this, you really got to wonder what kind of deal did the Lakers strike with Luka in order to make him extend? Because if you include last season, this season, and maybe even next year, they got to slowly reconstruct this whole thing, and it's wasting his prime years.
I mean, New York comes to mind.
That's wishful thinking.
If they can't,
you're from New York.
The Knicks would love Giannis, right, or someone like that. But the price tag for a 100-year-old guy making $50 million a year is a lot lower. And actually, I think as a kid who grew up rooting for the Knicks, he's still in me somewhere. You know, I don't think the Knicks can win a championship as currently constructed
Does LeBron
either.
make the
because
Knicks
Brunson's
better?
too small.
Yes.
Yeah,
he would, of course. But 29 other teams would say the same thing.
But they don't have the assets or the need quite, or are in the position or are in the market that make.
Or these teams have already hit the first or second apron into the tax. That's another part that doesn't get discussed too much. Some of these teams, depending on where they're at in the luxury tax, they're restricted on the kind of trades they can make. The dollar amount almost has to be exact to the T, and sometimes they're not even allowed to do 2-for-1 deals.
Makes sense for LeBron. Like if the Knicks can't land a guy like Giannis, which let's see them do it. It's hard to do.
Very hard to do.
And they'd have to give up so much to get Giannis.
In my position, there's relationships that you have, genuine relationships. I mean, most people are trying to trade and barter. That's not that. I mean, I actually have a genuine relationship. So,
yeah, we had a relationship even when you were.
Yeah.
The
I
thing
talk to a lot of people in this space.
Yeah. The thing I like about that is I could trust your information, that you weren't trying to position me. Like you're an agent, you're looking out for your clients, but sometimes you're talking to someone and you better not run with it right away because you could get burnt.
Yeah,
because they're telling you stuff to position you. But I knew that would never be the case with you. You were just talking.
No, if you have it you have it. I just want you to have it right.
Right.
And the issue I have in today's, industry is everyone's looking for clickbait and everyone's looking just to say certain things. They don't have it right. Now, the perception is, oh, well, you this guy's agent. You're just gonna want to. No. If he screwed up, he screwed up. If he's getting traded, he's getting traded. Whatever the case may be, that's what it is.
Right.
But I just want you to have it right. And I also want you to say, okay, this is what I heard. Give me some insight here. And then once you have all the information, then you can bake the cake however you choose to bake it. Just have all the ingredients.
Right.
Like I would always say, if I could choose where my player gets drafted, I want them to go to certain places because, in my opinion, it puts extra years on their career.
Pittsburgh, Baltimore, whatever it is. In football, there are
Yes.
established good culture places
Yes.
that are always going to compete.
And in basketball too.
San Antonio.
Because when you go to these places, believe it or not, all organizations aren't created equal, which I actually think the league should have a mandatory prerequisite standardized level of all things you have to be as an organization across everything from.
You want to homogenize the NBA and NFL even more?
No. I'm talking about the NBA in this. I'm saying as an organization, it should be a threshold that you cannot come below across all things from medical staff
I see.
to, cafeteria, all the way across. Because, again, it just you can. It's not all organizations are not created equal in that way.
Right.
Facts. And LeBron James doesn't get enough credit because he actually increased certain standards within some of the organizations that even other teams have copied. For example, in Cleveland, he had catering after the games for both the home and away team. So behind the scenes, he has improved things to make it better for players.
Right.
And
Who was it in the NBA everyone was getting hurt? Was it Phoenix? About 10 years ago.
Well, Phoenix used to have one of the best medical staffs.
No, so it wasn't Phoenix. I'm trying to remember the NBA organization that everyone was getting hurt because they shared staff with like the NFL team. It was New Orleans.
Damn. No wonder Zion can't get right. And let's not forget, in his early days with the Pelicans, one of his parents had tweeted out making comments about the medical staff down there in New Orleans. At some point, the NBA is going to have to pause those expansion talks and just move the Pelicans to Vegas or Seattle. But going back to the topic of medical staffs, we could even look at the Portland Trail Blazers when they had Brandon Roy and the way the situation played out with, what's his name, Greg Oden. Back-to-back high-performing draft picks that had very questionable recoveries. You would think with a lot of the star players that the investment in the medical staff would be top priority. And it's something that should be standardized because Portland, I tell you what, they had one hell of a player in Brandon Roy, and I can only imagine the possibilities if Greg Oden has stayed healthy.
Oh yeah, New Orleans does share. But again, it's one of those things where you have to have these relationships and you have to have the ability to say to people, to teams, etc. Now, when you're a superstar, depending on what you care about, you can also help a team improve in those ways as well. But
so you think Lamar could have had a ripple effect on the Jets potentially?
Yeah, if he's taken what he's gotten in Baltimore and he gets to New York, because of what he was able to see in Baltimore, he can actually identify what New York actually lacks.
Bring some of that.
Yeah, if a kid,
some of what LeBron brought back to Cleveland after Miami.
Absolutely.
A little of that pixie dust.
And
but
also
it's not
to the
magic.
Lakers. But if you're getting from college to the Jets or whomever, you just want to go pro. You don't, what do I know? You don't, unless you're coming from one of those major programs, my Ohio State Buckeyes, or a Georgia or Alabama, those are like the 33rd, 34th, and 35th NFL team. That's not,
right. But
So-
the more you talk about it, Giannis, yes, should be moved. Lamar should stay where he is.
Fair point.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
Lamar should stay where he is.
Because you feel like what?
Because you're right about Baltimore. The organization has shown over time. You have to see the difference between sometimes a certain regime is run its course in terms of coaching staff or players, as you said, you could overhaul. But if the that's moving furniture. If the architecture is good in an organization, you can ride that out because the chances are that'll fix itself.
So, okay. So you say that. Well, sometimes the player also has to recognize where he's at too.
Right.
Because if you go home and the people around you, you should do this, you should do that. If you read all the comments on social media, but if you don't recognize what you actually have, I mean,
you're saying that's why a change of scenery is sometimes good for the player, even if he's in a good organization?
No. Sometimes a change of scenery is not good for the player.
Oh,
because
I see. Yeah.
if you're Giannis, right?
You're making the opposite point.
I always say this. Your stepmom is not going to treat you like your mom.
Mm-hmm.
She's not. If you got one time and that front door going to be locked, the side door going to be locked. And if you had a key, the lock's going to be changed.
But mom's going to leave the door open.
Mom's going to come through the side door
Right.
with the plate. She going to throw mysteriously the car keys was dropped in the driveway. She couldn't find the keys. You didn't use the car. Like this is what happens. You know who I said this to years ago? DeMarcus Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to leave Sacramento so bad. And I said this to him. I love DC. He's great. I'm like, I don't know, man.
And before this recent wave of bigs, he was like the most skilled big you could see.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, when a team drafts you, and I don't know how he feels about this, he'll tell me when he see me, but it's just like, listen, man, your stepmom is not going to treat you like your mom, regardless of what your talent may be. So even in Giannis's case.
That is facts. And I'm pretty sure that's a hard lesson that Kevin Durant has learned throughout the years, that no other franchise was going to treat him like the homegrown Oklahoma City Thunder. He had a few instances, even in Golden State, where it looked like they were treating him like a rental. Same thing in Brooklyn. And of course, with the Phoenix Suns, we see how quickly they shipped him out once the luxury tax payments started to pile up. And this is a scenario we should pay real close attention to with LaMelo Ball and Ja Morant, the rumors of them possibly being traded. Because those two players have a very unique game, they're going to be hard to build around. And there's not going to be another franchise that's going to give them that homegrown loving. Even James Harden, to a degree, ever since he left Houston, the other franchises he has gone to, the love is not quite the same. Even though he wasn't drafted there, the fact that he made a name for himself while playing for that franchise and just sort of became well known in the whole NBA zeitgeist. It's a symbiotic relationship. Same thing for DeMar DeRozan with the Toronto Raptors. Once you leave that base, the other franchises are not really going to even treat you the same. There's just an endless amount of examples. LeBron James, the way he's kind of being ushered out of LA. Zion, if he ever left the Pelicans, the love is not going to be the same anywhere else. Even Luka, to a degree, he's out in LA, but his relationship is almost like him getting with a side piece. And the Mavericks is that loyal wife that always really loved him. Shit is just not the same.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, when a team drafts you, and I don't know how he feels about this, and he'll tell me when he see me, but it's just like, listen, man, your stepmom is not going to treat you like your mom, regardless of what your talent may be. So even in Giannis's case, I get it, and I know you may want to leave, but you better, if I'm you, when I go to these teams now, what he needs to do, when you get to these, go to New York's practice facility. From the time it takes you to get from Manhattan to Westchester, walk around, see if you like the parking, see if you like the cafeteria and the chefs.
The press.
Do they have strawberry jam versus grape jelly? You need to look at all these things. Go to all these different teams. Look at when you play in these arenas.
No, but that's what I mean. That's why, like, you're right about Baltimore versus
You have to, yeah.
So it is what it is. This has been a nice little zap into the Clutch Sports propaganda machine. Rich Paul definitely has said a lot about the Lakers, Rob Pelinka, their franchise internally not necessarily having that championship aura that we all know the Lakers for. But hey, that's what makes LeBron the king. A king has his, I would say, gestures to pass around his message and control his narrative. But you guys definitely hit up the link in the description below. Check out my NBA True Story playlist and also the NBA Hardwood Nuances. It's a little bit of the storytelling mixed in with the game film. And until next time, you fellas stay safe. Peace.